And all of a sudden, I'm opening this really big thing that I've never done before alone because he's not well enough.
Nobody's coming to save you. So you build and grind and you rise. From struggle to breakthrough. From pressure to legacy. These are raw, unfiltered stories of entrepreneurs, leaders, and dreamers who refuse to quit. Welcome to No Rescue, sponsored by Proto. Welcome back, No Rescue family. I am super excited for this podcast today. I have Jessica here with me. You guys saw the scenes. You guys were able to see the behind the scenes of Alice Lane. She's the creative director of Alice Lane, which is a very successful, you guys absolutely kill it in the design game.
Oh, thank you.
And I appreciate your time today because it was incredible. I mean, being able to see kind of where everything starts from an idea all the way to production and, you know, all the way to the end. And you guys deserve all of the success that you've seen. So congratulations.
Thank you so much. It means so much that you were interested in seeing behind the scenes. So,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I'm excited because we took the time to be able to see kind of how you operate and to see Alice Lane and everything. I'm excited to kind of dive into you, right? To dive into your background and how, you know, I heard this quote a long time ago, and it's basically, you know, to do what successful people do. It's not doing what they do, but it's thinking how they think, right? And that's really what I like to kind of dive into in terms of this. So where I like to begin is the very beginning. How'd you grow up? I'd love to know, you know, a little bit about your family, but let's start there. Let's start with the young Jessica.
Okay. Yeah. So how I grew up, family of 6 kids.
Okay.
My dad was in the Air Force. He didn't want to go into debt for medical school.
Okay.
And so he joined the Air Force. They paid for his education. We paid back with time.
Nice.
So in Air Force, I was an Air Force brat just growing up in all different states while he checked eyeballs for cadets and everybody else. So we started early life there, born in Oregon, moved to New York, Colorado, and then finally Utah. And Dad, he wanted to open his own practice and just be his own man, you know. So anyway, he was driving one day to go figure out where to set up camp and stopped in a little teeny tiny one-horse town called Richfield, Utah, and was getting gas. He was heading to Cedar City because he thought he'd maybe set up practice there. And he asked the people at the gas pump, "So do you guys have an eye doctor here?" And they said, "Oh, we do, but he's retiring." And anyway, he got the feeling and got the cold chills, and he thought this might be the place for us.
Yeah.
So went down to Cedar City and couldn't stop thinking about this little one-horse town. And sure enough, he bought a little old house just on the backside of Main Street and turned it into a clinic.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, he borrowed the money from my grandparents to buy this old house. And then they've added on to it several times to make bigger dispensaries and to make more rooms to be able to check eyes in. And then all of us 6 kids, our jobs were to either mow the lawn, trim, weed. My job was to clean the interior and to do the displays when I was younger.
Yeah.
And then when I was older, I could work in the optical and help people with frames or tighten screws or teach them how to put contact lenses in. So we were a family business. Like we all worked in the business and eventually earned my own money to buy a 10-speed so I could ride my bike to the clinic at night. So I was so proud of that bike.
Yeah.
I remember going to this other small town and picking it out, and it was brand new. It was nobody's hand-me-down. Because in a big family, it's always hand-me-downs. And I remember getting to pick the color and everything else, and I just felt so fancy on this 10-speed bike. Yeah.
I love it. So it sounds like your dad was kind of your first touch of entrepreneurship. Was that the first introduction? You just kind of grown up that way and seeing him operate?
You know, now that you say that, my grandpa, Grandpa Lukingay owned Lukingay Construction in Nampa, Idaho.
Okay.
And he built big commercial projects. So schools and churches and grocery stores and stuff like that. So my dad grew up with an entrepreneurial dad and was just kind of his own man. And yeah. And
That's
all of his
awesome.
brothers also entrepreneurs.
I love it.
Yeah.
And so you said you had 6 siblings.
Yep.
And so I know your brother Jake.
Okay.
And I don't know, where's he at and where are you at?
He's the youngest.
Okay.
And I'm number 2. He's number 6.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
And from what I know, every time I meet another sibling, you guys are all very successful. And
well, that's nice.
And so
it's all what it looks like on the outside.
Well, no, I love being around you guys because you guys are, and I guess the question I have is like, what what do you think kind of what were some of those lessons that your dad taught you to kind of get you guys to kind of jump into all owning business? Because every single one owns businesses,
Yeah,
correct?
yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
you're
You know,
entrepreneurs.
dad will always say things like this, and I don't even know what it means for sure, but he'll always say, "You kids need to make this earth your footstool."
Yeah,
You know, and he has a lot of confidence when he talks and instills confidence in us, and he's constantly
yeah,
always teaching, and usually gospel related things,
yeah,
but he's just constantly teaching us how to really own something and how to finish it to the end and really get after us if we don't
yeah,
own something. And he loves effort.
yeah.
And so, in fact, one of my brother's license plate says effort, and we always joke around with him like, "You look like such a dork vomit." But I really do think that nothing comes easy or is easily won, especially if it's meaningful. So hard work is something that my dad really instilled in us, and we just always were working, you know.
Yeah,
So growing a garden and canning things and cleaning things, and there's two girls at the top of the family and then four boys, and so we were like doing anything my mom was doing, and then the boys were definitely working. After the yard and doing all the things that boys do. That being said, I still mowed the lawn and
yeah,
did things like that.
yeah,
So
yeah,
yeah, I mean, it was just we always worked.
yeah,
Yeah, and then eventually once he was able to experience some level of success, then I remember getting a family boat and being able to play together. But even that's a lot of work,
yeah,
getting ready for the lake and everything that goes into it
absolutely.
and wiping the boat down. And so it was all very physical,
Yeah,
always very hands-on, and there's always a teaching moment in all of it for dad. And he continues to like the family text thread is always lighting up every day, and he's still teaching us. And I'm 50, and
yeah,
he's not done yet,
yeah.
which I really love.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So, it sounds like he was an incredible mentor through entrepreneurship.
Mhm.
And then you mentioned something, and I'm curious if this was really the start of maybe the beginning thoughts of Alice Lane. You mentioned how you were in charge of setting or designing some part
Yeah.
of his
Yeah.
office. Is that correct?
Yeah,
Is
totally.
Was that kind of the
Always
start, or
always the displays, yeah, and then, we all had jobs we had to do on Saturdays, and my job was dusting the furniture,
okay?
which I also think somehow played a role into me loving furniture and wanting
Yeah,
it to look great, and because my mom always said, "You have to do it the right way," which meant I couldn't dust around things, I had to take everything off,
yeah.
and then I could dust it and then put everything back on, but when I put it back on, it meant I could put it back the way I wanted to. So I think
Yeah, you're
styling
playing the
yeah,
game.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So I think I learned to be interested in styling because I'm like,
yeah.
I'm gonna put it back the way I wanna put it back. And I remember giving my friends, like, house tours of
Yeah,
our little tiny humble like, it was 3,000 square feet, this house with 6 kids in it. We all shared bedrooms, 4 boys in one room, 2 girls in the other room. Anyway, it was just so funny. I was so proud of our home and being like, "Do you want me to give you a tour of our home?" And I take
Yeah,
but
I
this is
love
the
it.
living room. This
Yeah,
is the kitchen.
yeah,
Anyway, I don't know, there was something in me even at that young age that just loved home. I
yeah,
loved the idea of it. I was proud of it. My mom made the drapes, with my grandma,
yeah,
and we hung wallpaper together, me and my sister and my mom,
yeah.
and yeah, I mean, there's always, like, some element of home that we were working on. I think my mom has a real knack for it,
That's awesome.
and, that definitely came, through me, so
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
I love it. And so was that the start of maybe the inkling thoughts of Alice Lane, or was there any other businesses before that?
Yeah, so I actually went to school for advertising
Okay,
design.
awesome.
So I went to Utah State and was on scholarship there for that. I had a painting accepted in an art museum, and
Oh,
the
wow.
advertising professor came and found me
Okay.
and said, would you like to come and I'll give you a full ride scholarship? And I was like, I don't even know where that is.
Yeah.
Like I was only going to go to BYU,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And then, as things go in life, I didn't get accepted to BYU. And I was like, well, where's that one place? Because I have a scholarship there. Might as well go there. I
Yeah,
didn't even know on the map where Logan,
yeah,
Utah was. And so I went to Utah State and it was called advertising design.
yeah.
And anyway, I ended up having this great internship and worked for Coca-Cola, Starbucks, Lagoon,
Oh, wow.
in ad agencies, and was an art director.
Okay.
And after doing that for about a decade, I had an opportunity to I did a new build for me and my husband, and we
Yeah.
had one baby at the time. And it was on a street called Alice Lane, and I was 27, and we built this home, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is what I was born to do. It was
Yeah.
like everything that we learned, because I went through the whole design wing of school
Yeah.
and learned, 2D design, 3D design, figure sketching, all of art history. All of a sudden, I felt like everything I knew came out of the computer because I've been stuck behind a screen and it
Yeah.
was in 3D.
Yeah.
And so I loved building this house. And then other neighbors would be like, "Hey, could you just come over and look at this? And would you mind if?" And pretty soon, we had a friend that he actually owns a really successful business down here in Utah County. He said, "Will you do my corporate headquarters?"
Yeah.
He's a big software company. Anyway, Josh James, he had this company called Omniture at the
Yeah.
time. And I was like, "Oh, I don't do that. I can do your logo, your graphics, your anything like that." He's like, "No, no, no. I've seen your home. It's my favorite house I've ever been in. I
Yeah.
want you to do our corporate headquarters." I was
Yeah.
like, "Oh, I don't do that." And he's like, "No, but I want you to."
Yeah.
So this is my first interior design job
That's
besides my own home
awesome.
and obviously helping with other folks. And I took it on and took it really seriously and loved it and ended up doing offices worldwide for him.
Yeah.
And then he said, with the sale of his business, you should open a store and I want to invest in you.
Oh,
And
wow.
so he said, "I'll match your investment."
Yeah.
And so I was like, gosh, how are we going to get the money for him to match the investment? So we sold the Alice Lane house
Oh, man.
and we put it all on red and Josh matched it.
Yeah.
And we opened our first store in 2008.
Oh,
I don't know if you
man.
remember when the economy fell off the
Yeah,
cliff.
I
That's
do
the
remember.
moment we opened. Yeah. Yeah, we opened in
Uh,
September of '08, and we had no idea. I mean,
yeah.
we were so busy getting luckily our home sold at
Yeah.
a really great height of the market. And then we weren't buying another home, we were renting. And we were opening the store and we were just so busy getting the bill done and picking up lines and everything that I didn't realize that the very industry that we were going into was falling off of a cliff.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
anyway, I don't
And it's
know.
probably a blessing in hindsight,
Yeah,
like
it
just
was what was interesting was so many people were letting go of their staff, and we were able to take some really, really awesome talent and pull them in-house. And we started at a time where we call it Chuskin, cheap Tuscan was in style. These really bad, everybody was doing these European, really dark, naughty alder kitchens and heavy knockdown walls and yellowy, plastery finishes. And we opened and we were like transitional and light and bright and this really fresh take on interiors. And people would be like, "What do you even call this? And can you come home with me and do
Yeah.
this?" And we didn't even have a design service. We just opened a furniture store. And
Yeah.
so by people saying, "Can you come home with me?" We were like, "Well, yeah, I can stop by after work." And so
Yeah.
pretty soon we had to develop a service for it and hire more and more interior designers
Yeah.
with skills to be able to look at house plans and build homes, use
Yeah.
AutoCAD and do real life design services with all of the incredible lines that we had picked up
Yeah.
so that we could marry the two. And eventually ALID was born, which is Alice Lane Interior Design, and then Alice Lane Home is the furniture side.
I love it. That's an incredible
Isn't
story.
that crazy?
And I love it because I feel like it's such an entrepreneurial journey of like, it's funny because my business we've taken off in the last 5 years,
Hmm.
but people always ask me how'd you do it in 5 years, and when I tell them the story, it's like, look, there were capacities well before that I didn't realize at the time would later serve me really well.
Hmm.
And people always say,
Totally.
how'd you do it in 5? And it's like, I did it in 15,
Yeah.
and I
Yeah.
feel like that's very similar when you talk about your journey and Alice Lane and how it all came together,
Yes,
right?
totally. Well, there's a podcast I love called Second Life, and it talks to people about what they did in their first
Yeah,
chapter and how that got them ready for the chapter that they're into
absolutely.
and what that crossover is,
Yeah,
because it's pretty common that people
yeah,
do it, right?
yeah,
I mean, even there's a part of our business that like you set out to do one thing, but then you end up doing this other thing because it informs the other thing and you have a need
absolutely.
for it. And then pretty soon you're like, really weird, but we're really good at warehousing, you know?
Yeah, yeah,
So yeah, you
yeah.
learn about other opportunities. And turns out it's way easier to be profitable and make money warehousing than it is to have a furniture store,
Yep,
you know?
yep,
So anyway, it's just been a really interesting ride. But there's like the thing that you have passion for, which is,
absolutely,
interior design. And so,
absolutely.
yeah, so that like keeps I don't know, just like the light burning bright
Yeah,
inside of you, because I think the passion needs to stay there as an
absolutely,
entrepreneur,
absolutely.
especially, as we go through so many hard things. Like what's going to keep that thing burning,
Yeah.
you know?
And I feel like, I mean, I love what you just said because there's a quote, and I'm gonna butcher it, but it talks about how, finding your destiny, people think that it was like a moment, and although it feels that way, that moment was earned, right? It's a
Hmm.
journey, it's an
Yeah.
arrival,
Yeah.
right? And I feel like, that moment of, your friend James asking you, to
Uh-huh.
me felt like it was an arrival of sorts,
Yeah.
right? Of
Yeah.
everything that you've done to where that moment you're like, this is my calling. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm gonna do this, right?
Totally.
And
Yeah.
so, but we both know too that anything special comes with a lot of hard work and a lot
Hmm.
of trials,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And with this being the no rescue, I love the story of, James, him investing in you off of a whim of just seeing your house. What were some of the challenges that you guys faced early on in building Alice Lane?
Oh gosh. Well, I mean, one of them that's super personal is my husband got really sick right when we were starting to do this. So we had just, he had just quit his job so he could be the CEO of this
Yeah,
company, right? And
yeah,
then we were starting this brand new thing and we all know we're not profitable for a long
yeah,
time. So you're kind of like, I don't know, let's just set a really really low base salary that we can share. And then let's rent, a home. We have two little kids that for
yeah,
the first time I have to get childcare for, which is a pretty emotional thing
yeah,
for a mom to have to pry their little 3-year-old off of them and
yeah,
give them to a stranger.
yeah,
So that was hard. But my husband had this, we didn't know what was wrong with him. He started having really bad migraines. He was so, so sick. He needed to be in a black room because the light hurt his head. And all of a sudden, I'm opening this really big thing that I've never done before alone because he's not well enough. And there's just something about when you absolutely have your feet to the fire, you have to figure out what you're made out of. And I
yeah,
didn't have anybody, I mean, he was yoked with me in it,
yeah,
but he couldn't physically do the work. And we were just so hungry for answers on how to get him well. And it ended up being something that took a decade long. And it ended up being a hole in his heart, is what it was.
oh,
There's the two sides of the heart, and in between it sometimes there's a flap that opens, sometimes it's in new babies and it will just heal itself. I don't know why. He was a big athlete, did triathlons, the Ironman, the Lotoja, big things like that. I don't know if he was out on a long run one day, couldn't make it back, but his heart, it ended up being the biggest hole they had ever seen in the Heart and Lung Institute in Murray at that big hospital.
yeah.
And they said it was like a full inch. He ended up having 2 strokes. And they were able to do the surgery through his left leg, go up the main artery, put this, it looks like a mesh Oreo in between the two chambers of the heart, and then your own tissues will grow over it
Wow.
and seal the hole. Well, once that had happened, you still had somebody who had lost everything.
Yeah,
So depression, right?
yeah,
And so many other things that were just like really troubling that he wasn't the same person anymore.
yeah,
So not only did we start during 2008, we
yeah, you did
started
a
during a
lot,
real
yeah.
health crisis too. And um, there's just something that when you have to work like it's all on
Everything
you.
depends on
You
it.
yeah,
Yeah,
you work like you've never worked before and you have to figure it out. And you want to be I always say like there's so many opportunities in interior design where I feel like a girl that's waiting to be asked to the prom. I'm just waiting for somebody to ask me to write a book.
yeah,
I'm just waiting for somebody to ask me to, like to get published or to be noticed, but it's never going to happen. You have to get up and
yeah,
have the courage, right, to do it. And so growing up shy, my older sister used to talk for me and I'd kind of hide behind her. And I didn't name the business after me. I named it Alice Lane, not Jessica Bennett Design,
yeah,
right? I didn't necessarily want the attention of it, but I've had to learn how to step up and do the hard thing and face it in the eyes and ask for what I want and what I need, and to become courageous,
yeah,
which has
yeah,
been uncomfortable for me, and
yeah,
and it continues to be uncomfortable. It's starting to be more natural, and I realize I have to do it
yeah,
and get out from behind the curtain and show my
yeah,
face
yeah,
for it. But yeah, it's been really fascinating. I don't know why that had to happen, why he had to be sick for so long, but I'm so grateful today. Like he's well, he's making a huge impact on the business. he came back at a perfect time when we really needed him, and
Yeah.
he's got a brilliant mind, was accepted to med school, and just has this brain that can remember everything, and so it's been really fun to have him back the last several years and
That's
to have
awesome.
his impact on the
Yeah.
business. But yeah, health is something that we just don't really know,
Yeah. When
what
you don't know, it's almost one of those things that you really don't value it as much, especially when it's not there.
yeah.
You remember how much you value it once it's
Mhm.
gone, right?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I kind of want to stay here for a little bit and talk through. You're going through this time. You're building a business and
Mhm.
probably one of the biggest financial crises in America,
Yeah. Yeah.
and you're going through all this.
Yeah.
I guess the question I think everybody has is how did you do it? Like how, especially as a mother,
Yeah.
right? Like that's one thing that you said to me that really stood out is
Mhm.
not only being an entrepreneur, but being a mother,
Mhm.
being a supportive wife. Like
Yeah.
how were these roles affected at home?
Yeah, totally. I mean, we I don't know how we got so lucky. I mean, I think I often will say, I think I'm bubble wrapped in angels because I just feel like so many things have just I don't deserve all the help that I've had, honestly. But there was a really lovely girl that sort of entered our life who was a really spunky college graduate type age. And her name's Jen. And she wanted to watch the girls for us. And she was high energy. And I loved that because I have great energy too. And so I was like, that will feel familiar to them, you know? And anyway, she was like, oh my gosh, would it be okay if I came and worked at the store some days and my mom watched the girls? I'd be like, "Yeah, sure." And she's like, "And my mom just happens to be like OCD, an amazing cleaner. Is it okay if she cleans the house too when the girls are napping or whatnot?" So I don't know how I got these ladies in my life. So her mom would be like scrubbing the house with vinegar and water because she wanted to clean it the museum way to not damage anything. And then Jen would be at the store half the time and with the girls half the time, and they did their own schedule. And I'd come home and my house would be spotless. And my girls would have these darling hairdos that this college age girl was doing. And they just have the cutest stories even today. Actually, both my girls today work for me.
Yeah.
They're 24 and 20, and they're just darling. They're so cute. And it's fun to have them in the business and have their strengths
Yeah.
and to be amazed by them, like really, truly amazed by their superpowers. But
Yeah.
it's just been a part of them. In fact, my youngest, that's 20, Jane, she films content for us and edits. And she'll often be like, well, yeah, it's just a natural fit. Like Alice feels like she's our baby sister,
Yeah.
because they
Yeah.
were there when she was being born and brought to life
Yeah.
and everything. But I'll just say, like, the child thing, it was one of those things that you didn't know what the answer was, but I knew I was called to do this.
Yeah.
Like I knew I had to do it.
Yeah.
And if I didn't say yes to the opportunity that Josh gave me, I knew I'd regret it my whole
It
life.
haunt you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So the pain of staying the same was greater than the pain of change.
Yeah.
So I had to do it.
Yeah.
But there was parts of it like the childcare that you're like, I don't know what I'm going to do, but we'll figure it out. And at one point, like one of my Jake's wife, Kaylee, at one point, Kaylee was like, oh, I can watch the kids. But she had gotten pregnant with Lila, who's 16 now.
Yeah.
Alice Lane's 17. And then she was sick or something, couldn't do it. And that's when we found this really cute Jen and Laura, her mom,
Yeah.
that entered into the picture. And they're not related to us, but they were
Yeah.
angels.
Yeah.
And I just continue to be bubble wrapped in angels.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This podcast is sponsored by Prodo. With Prodo, taste comes first, but trust follows. It's clean, it's grass-fed, and it's made with standards you can feel. This is protein for people who expect more. Bougie, not basic.
I love it. And stories like that, I think also reinforce that, that feeling that you had of like, this is something I'm called to do.
Yeah.
Right. Because
Totally.
I really firmly believe that things happen as they're supposed to happen. And, I think Heavenly Father helps us when we're putting our best foot forward.
I
Right.
think so
And he brings
too.
people in. And so,
Yeah. And he loves effort,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And so I think yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. He's in every detail of it. And I don't know how you can be an entrepreneur and not believe in God.
Yeah.
You know?
100%.
Yeah.
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 And there's something to be said about alignment, right? When you're in
Mhm.
alignment with a good purpose, a holy cause, like you just learn that like these fires that come, like they're part of the game,
Yeah.
right? And I heard this and it stuck, and I feel like you can relate this on what you're sharing. Like in entrepreneurship, really, there's never a moment that you just win, right? Where you make X amount of money or you build the project that you want and you win. In entrepreneurship, the way you win is you keep playing, and the only way you lose is if you quit, right? And
Yeah.
like I feel like when you're in alignment, that's the game, right? You just keep playing,
Yeah.
and you only lose when you stop, right?
Yeah.
And when you quit playing. And so, and I love the story you share because I think it highlights that. And I also want to take a next step into that chapter, right? Because following our timeline here, you grew up with a family that kind of inspired you, taught you a lot of these things. You had this Alice Lane experience, and you kind of jump all in.
Hmm.
So you established the business. I guess talk to me through some of the struggles you had once you guys kind of got on, 2 feet at least, right? Is
Hmm.
because we all go through them,
Yeah.
right? And we've seen the end result of what you are today. What were kind of the struggles that you've seen while building Alice?
So many. I mean, one that stands out in my mind because we were just giggling about it the other day in our executive meeting. We meet every Tuesday as an executive team to work on the business, and then the rest of the week we work in the
Yeah,
business. And it really helps to just keep any fire from being too big to be able to put
absolutely.
out.
Yeah.
And so I can't remember what brought it up, but there was a time when we had a really small warehouse, and the person next to us, their warehouse caught fire, and all of the smoke damage went in to
Oh
our warehouse, all
man.
the upholstery,
Yeah.
everything in
Smells
there.
like smoke
Yeah,
and just
well, we were going through a really hard financial time, and we honestly didn't know how we were going to make ends meet, and it was the fire that actually had to turn everything in that warehouse into liquid cash because we got the insurance claim for everything that got ruined, and we didn't have an inventory problem, we had a
Yeah.
cash
So it
problem.
was almost like a restart, huh?
And we were like, the fire saved our
Yeah,
bacon.
yeah,
Yeah, and there's like so many of those times where
yeah,
we're like,
yeah,
we have no business being in business,
yeah,
like
yeah,
I don't know why. And it's just divine intervention
yeah,
where I wish so bad I had like kept a journal of all of
yeah,
these things
yeah,
because it's just like one miracle after
yeah,
the next, where you're like, oh, you would think a fire would be devastating.
yeah,
And it was when we
yeah.
got word,
Oh, I'm sure.
and then it didn't start to click in that maybe this was divine until like weeks later. And we
Yeah.
were like,
Yeah.
we know he's winking at us up there.
Yeah,
Yeah, for sure.
yeah.
So
I
anyway,
love it.
yeah.
Oh, I love it. These are incredible stories, and they always, because obviously the name of the podcast is based off that premise of, those moments when you think
Hmm.
nobody's coming to save you,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And I kind of want to pick your brain in those moments, just from the mindset perspective of
Yeah.
what were you telling yourself in those moments? Like, what got you through them? Like, what do you, especially now in hindsight, right, of
Yeah.
2020, fire caught, like what's going through your head, and what are you telling yourself?
Yeah, totally. It's such a good question. I think recently in the wake of Charlie Kirk's
Yeah.
passing, I didn't know much about his body of work, but because of it, we've all been, watching
Yeah.
things and learning so much about him. And my husband was just telling me the other day, he's like, everybody thinks he must have a photographic memory because how does he know all of these things word for word? And so is he is his IQ off the charts? Is it Mensa? Is it like, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
he's just a special kind of brilliant. And Charlie has said that it's not, it's everybody has said, no, he's not, his IQ's normal, whatever else, but it's being under pressure in front of people where you're able to perform, and it makes it that much more memorable and much more sticky. And I think as
Interesting.
an entrepreneur, because we're just in that pressure cooker at all times, you know
Yeah.
what I mean? That these things are so meaningful and memorable, and you're just trying to figure out like a rat trying to get through this maze that's so frightening and scary, but it sticks more because
Yeah.
because we're under the pressure.
Yeah.
And my husband and I were talking about a training that our team wants us to do, and I said, yeah, they want me to present on how do you present really well to clients? And they're like, Jess, you're the best at it. Will you teach us your ways? And my husband Adam said, you should not just teach a room full of people that. You should have them present to you, because then they'll be in that pressure that Charlie
Yeah.
Kirk spoke of. And then you'll be able to give them insights that you're having about them presenting.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
so everybody, it's really, it's good for people to have pressure on
Yeah.
them, right? It's just like weightlifting. It's good to have
Yeah.
resistance. It makes us stronger. It makes us better.
Pressure's a privilege.
Totally,
Yeah.
we could it'd be easier, it'd be less time consuming for me to sit in a room for a half hour, an hour, and tell them all of my thoughts and ideas on how to present great.
Yeah.
But it's not gonna stick
Yeah.
as
Yeah.
much as if we take it team by team and really have them present to us and us give them the feedback and then them
Absolutely.
apply it and then do it again, you know?
Yeah.
So it's interesting when you really want to, you know, create leaders and be able to give a great experience like that. You just really have to spend the time.
Yeah.
And it's hard because time is really your
The
best
greatest
asset.
asset. 100%.
Yeah. Yeah. I think especially as entrepreneurs, it's like every part of the business, every facet of it could need you,
Yeah.
you know? And
Yeah.
so you're just trying to figure out how to make the best impact with what you've got and what's the most important thing, you know?
Absolutely.
And that's where I feel like I'm at today, is like, where can I make the best impact
Yeah.
for the team, and
Yeah.
what's going to be the stickiest, and how will that be able to stay longer? And it's
Yeah.
not going to be convenient,
Yeah.
but hopefully it will stay,
Yeah.
you know?
That's so well articulated. And I feel like, my dad always jokes around with me because my dad's a physician.
Okay.
He got his MD. He's one of the first Polynesians to ever do it.
Wow.
And we always joke because my junior year, I dropped out to pursue sales. And, my dad's always like, that's by and large the best decision you could have ever done. And he's like, that's the degree of hard knocks,
Yeah.
and I think it speaks to your point. That pressure to me is, experience is the greatest teacher,
Mhm.
especially in entrepreneurship.
Yep.
Right. And it's like, how do we create that for the people around us, right? To give them that gift.
Yeah.
And you're alluding to a question I love to ask people as they talk about this. You are speaking so many life principles, but you're talking about your business, which
Uh-huh.
is so interesting,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
What in your experience of building this business, how have you seen it help develop you as a person, right? In these capacities as a
Mhm.
mother, as a wife, right?
Yeah.
How
Yeah.
has your business helped you do that, and in what capacities and in what way?
Yeah. And I think leadership too, right?
Yeah.
It's funny that you open a business to be an interior designer, right? And then you find that you don't get to do the thing that you
Yeah.
opened the business to do,
Yeah.
right? Or you don't get to do it very often
Yeah.
because you have to learn how to like really figure out how to be a leader,
Yeah.
and how to lead.
Yeah.
And that's really hard. I remember having a girlfriend of mine that's a life coach come in, and she was like, Jess, if you're down on the forest floor and you have to figure out how to get out, the exit might just be 20 feet to the left, right? But you guys might start hacking with your machetes to get out of the forest, and you could go 8 miles this direction without knowing the exit's right over there. So your job as a leader is you need to pull up high. You need to
Yeah.
get above the forest, and
Yeah.
you need to provide vision and direction. That's your job as a leader.
Yeah.
And so there's so many times in my life when I'm like, oh, I'm in the weeds. I'm in the weeds again. I need to pull up high.
Yeah.
I need to provide vision and direction. But then you need to know what vision and direction you want.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so that's what I'm so grateful for Tuesdays with the executive team, is to say, like, I need to provide vision and direction for this team, or for whatever it is that we're doing. And so what do you guys think, right? Counsel together with these guys
Yeah.
on what do you think we should be doing? And each of their unique experiences helps me know when I go back to work on Wednesday and be able to give clear direction,
Yeah.
because clarity is kindness.
Yeah.
I feel like, and people really need clarity, and they
So
also
good.
need vision and direction,
Yeah.
And so I'm trying to become a better leader in this second half of, of my career,
Yeah.
because I feel like that's what people need from me.
Yeah.
As much as I want to be, you know, doing the thing that I opened the store to do, which is to design and talk to people and figure out what makes them tick. And, oh, I know just the thing for you. Or let's talk about how you sleep. And
Yeah.
I know just the fill for your duvet. And I know, and I'm like, I need to teach other people to know those answers,
Yeah.
because I can't be on the showroom floor. I've got to really be spending time at this point developing the product, because that's now the lifeblood of our
Yeah.
company, So I had to actually pull myself out of the design center about 2 years ago, and not not perfectly curate and craft this one house anymore. Now I have my team doing that under Suzanne, who's been with me for like 16 years. She's brilliant. She needed to be in charge anyway. And now I can design something where we can sell it to everybody
Yeah.
instead of just making one house for one family, you know?
Yeah.
And so it's been really gratifying to get to do that. And turns out I love doing it, you
Yeah.
know, which is
Yeah.
awesome. I think the thing that's been hardest for me is about 2 years ago, Drew, our president, said, um, somebody has to be the face of the company. Like, we can't keep hiding behind
Yeah.
the curtain. And we have social media now. And I was like, oh, no, 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 not me, not me.
Yeah.
Because I named it Alice Lane.
Yeah.
So can't we just still pretend that Alice is in charge?
Yeah.
And he said, well, we've developed all of this product. And so somebody
Yeah.
needs to talk about it
Yeah.
on the website. You've got to show the features and benefits. You got to
Yeah.
talk about why you designed it. And so that has been something that's been really challenging for me, is like, you
Yeah.
open a business today and all of a sudden you have to also do the thing that you're doing while you're smiling on camera, you know,
Yeah.
and like, you've
Yeah.
got to make content. And I was like, that is so not me.
Yeah.
I'm old. Like, I didn't grow up with a camera in my hand, you know, like,
Yeah.
if we had a picture taken, we were all poised in a certain
Yeah.
way and we were smiling at the camera. Like,
Yeah.
there's no candid anything. So it's been really hard to have to pull out from behind the curtain and to
Yeah.
try and become the face of Alice Lane when I
Yeah.
never wanted to do that.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think that's one of the interesting dynamics today, is if you're an entrepreneur, you're probably going to have to be the face of your company, and you're going to need to talk about what you do
Yeah.
and hopefully be likable while you're doing it, or have people relate to you. But you have to be authentic, because everybody's authenticity meter is going off the rails if you're not.
Absolutely.
And so one of the things that they also put me in charge of over the last couple of years is marketing, because I need to be in the pictures or in the videos, or just turns out I have a degree in advertising design. And so
Yeah.
it's what I used to do. And so
Yeah.
all of these principles are coming into play. Unfortunately, it's me that's in front of the camera now. So I think that's been one of the besides all the hard lessons, it's
Yeah.
that you need to get out in front and talk about your product, because I'm really proud of it. I just don't want to have to be the face of it.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I'm finding my way with
Yeah.
that. That's something that you don't think of maybe as an entrepreneur. Some people might not think of as an entrepreneur. I don't know. It wasn't on my bingo card in 2008.
Yeah.
But also Instagram didn't come online until
Exactly.
2010 or something. So
100%.
yeah.
Well, and I feel like too that it's, nowadays people want to trust a person, not a brand, you know?
Yes.
And so that personal brand is all that much more valuable in the game of marketing, right? It's
Mhm.
just changed.
Yeah.
And but I also think I think you downplay yourself so much. You do an incredible job.
Oh gosh.
And the story behind it all, I mean, this has been awesome. This has been powerful. And
Oh,
this has
you're
been
kind.
incredible. And I appreciate you sharing everything up to this. And I can tell that you maybe not had started this to be the face of the company, but the reason it makes so much sense is because you are the company, right?
Yeah.
You will be like, from everything that you've built and everything you were prepared for, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
And I just want to congratulate you.
Oh, that's really kind. Thank you.
This is kind of the question that we ask everybody as we wrap this up, and a lot of, in building this platform, one of the things that we really wanted to do was bring to people real advice, right? That they could implement with those entrepreneurs that are in this journey that we're
Yeah.
all a part of, right? And I appreciate you sharing some of the context and insights of how you were thinking when you were in those no rescue moments.
Mhm.
But I just want to ask you, for that entrepreneur that's in that moment, right? They're in their business. They don't know how they're going to make it out. Payrolls
Yeah.
due.
Yeah.
What's your one piece of advice?
For me, and what I've learned is that I don't know about men, so you'll have to tell me about this, but I always say women solve their problems by talking to other people.
Yeah.
And so I've loved asking other people, what do you do in this situation?
Yeah.
I've called my brother before, who has his own business, and I've been like, we just got served a lawsuit. What do I do?
Yeah.
And then he was like, okay, here's what you got to do. Step 1, step 2, step 3. And he somehow makes it feel Like, oh, this is so normal. This
Yeah.
happens all the time.
Yeah.
It's not a big deal. You're going to get a good attorney. Do you need an attorney? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
there's just always things like that where I find that if I can talk to other people, I always say too in my business, I'm like, I hire people that are better than me at everything
Yeah.
that they do, right? And
Yeah.
so I want to talk to people that are smarter than me.
Yeah.
I don't want to necessarily I don't want to complain to friends around me because that's not going to solve anything. I'm really looking to be rescued by
Yeah.
other people's experiences. And I think Alice Lane is a really safe place to fail. We all the time are like, okay, hooray for failure. Let's learn this lesson. Let's tell people about it so then we can all learn the lesson, not just me inside my body.
Yeah.
You know, we have this meeting on Monday mornings it's an all hands meeting. And there's a moment in the meeting where we say, you know, what have we experienced this week where we've had, you know, any failure, any things that we've learned? And they go, oh yeah, let me tell you.
Yeah.
When you're installing the chandeliers, you need to get the additional down rod, the additional chains, the blah, 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 blah. And so they're like, just every time you're doing it, if you've got a 10-foot ceiling and it's on a slope, then it's this type of an answer. And so we all get to learn from the mistake and it's just a safe place.
Yeah.
And so I love in life to just learn from anybody's experience because it's been so valuable. This year, I remember talking to somebody who owns an eyeglass company, and they've been consulting us on their marketing team and who they're using to optimize their website. And they're selling eyewear, you know?
Yeah.
And so we actually ended up hiring their team and they've changed our game.
Oh, wow.
Like marketing it's just like the lubrication in your business. I cannot believe what a year we've had, especially with tariffs and all these scary things that are happening in our industry and a lot of people going out of business. We've continued to just hit numbers that I didn't know were possible. And it really is because of marketing. And it's been really fun to learn that. But it's because we said, hey, will you just get on a Zoom call with us? And got the whole executive team around it on Tuesday and we could all ask the questions. And then, you know, the next month we were like, let's talk to this guy that's really got a really amazing YouTube channel and let's ask him what he's doing and to look at ours and tell us what's wrong with ours. And so it's just people that we know that we're just asking to consult us on, you know, them looking in because you kind of can't see what you're doing wrong so much because you're so in it,
100%.
you know? And so I just love to ask other people that I admire for their advice and to consult us in an area. And it's changed our game and it takes humility, but yeah, but it's good. So I talk to solve my problems.
Yeah.
I talk to other people that are way, way, way smarter than me. And I'm grateful that they'll give me their time and attention. And you know what's funny? Entrepreneurs love to help other entrepreneurs.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
And so I love that you have this podcast because we all are just like on the edge of our seat, like, somebody throw me a lifeline because at some point we all feel like we're drowning,
100%.
you know?
Multiple times. Right?
Multiple times. And we all need a different type of lifeline, whether it be like, what am I going to do? I've got this weird lawsuit going on. Or, you know, how do I handle this situation? And oddly, like, it's so normal to so many entrepreneurs. And it somehow also takes the emotion out of it. So then you can just sort of deal with the issue at hand.
And you can go back to operating. Right?
Yeah, because the drama of it all can really get in your head and really hijack your ability to think straight. And when it feels normal, you're like, oh, okay, great. This is actually not a big deal. This happens to everybody like us.
Well, and it sabotages your most valuable asset, which is really your self-worth, right?
Yes.
And your ability to have confidence.
Yeah. Yeah. So well said.
Well, Jess, this has been one of my favorite podcasts, and we've had some killers on here.
Oh,
and
you're so
I
nice.
really appreciate how well you articulated. There's, you know, as an entrepreneur, there's certain things you hear from people when they articulate things in their own way. It's almost like somebody's reading from, you know, your own life book, but in their own words, right? And I appreciate that because I also recognize how valuable it is to share these because as entrepreneurs, we build these businesses with our heart and soul. And so when you give away these sacred experiences, it's almost like you're sharing a piece of your heart.
Oh, totally.
And I really feel that from you and I appreciate you.
Oh,
So,
thank you.
Congratulations on all your success.
Oh, that's kind.
The last thing when we wrap this up that we have everybody do is we just have you sign our glory wall. All right.
Oh, yes. I would love to.
So Jess, thank you again so much for this
Thank
podcast. This was
you.
awesome. Thank you for being
Thanks
here.
for having me on.
No, let's get you to sign the wall.
Let's do it.
Sponsored by Prodo. Flavored protein. Not protein flavored. Discover our 20 plus luxury flavors at prodoshop.com.